Welcome to another edition of Research Connection. Joining me today is Dr. Laura Nelson. Thanks for joining me, Dr. Nelson.
Thank you so much, Kyle. I am Laura Nelson. You may know me as the new person in academic affairs, and I'm glad to get to talk in this forum. So as hopefully many of you know, my background is in small animal surgery, specifically soft tissue surgery, and I was on the faculty at Michigan State University. As far as my interests and background, in my surgery life, I love training. I love surgical training for veterinary students and for residents. And the research I did that was more dog and biologically related was portosystemic shunts in dogs. That interest came around in large part because my husband and I started on faculty at the same time, and that was the kind of project you could do, a soft tissue surgeon and a radiologist could work on together because neither of us had any plans. But that ended up being quite fruitful, and so if anybody wants to talk to me about imaging and portosystemic shunts or shunt morphology, anytime. Other research interests of mine, I was fortunate several years ago to get an AKC-CHF grant to study GDV in dogs. And in that project, our hypothesis was that GDV is a manifestation of a chronic GI motility issue in dogs. And so what we have done in that is use a wireless motility device called a SmartPill to look at gastric motility in at-risk dogs as well as dogs who survive GDV. And we paired that with candidate gene analysis as well as measurement of motulin and ghrelin hormones in the bloodstream. And that we're still in the last phases of getting some survivors in that, some GDV survivors in that study, but we're hoping to get that completed and written sometime in the next year. I'm certainly in the situation right now of working across two institutions to finish out that research, and I'm very grateful for my colleagues at Michigan State for finishing that out. And from an education side, because that's a domain I've gotten into more recently, and well, why did I do that? I had the opportunity to do a one-year teaching fellowship, a Lilly teaching fellowship at Michigan State. And that really was a crash course in all things education theory, education practice, students, learners and learners, equity, change management. And it was, for me, like doing surgery for 10 years and then having somebody hand me a surgery textbook. It was a transformational, incredible experience. And it made me think a lot more about how we do education and the assumptions that we make and the way that our practices affect the success of our students. I followed that with a one-year graduate certificate in higher adult and lifelong education that was really about designing training programs that focused on adult learners, which is to say us as well as our students. We're all adults, at least in years, if not attitudes at all times. And so I'm increasingly interested in looking at research that relates to teaching. A couple projects I've worked on so far, studied grade distribution in a number of graduating classes at Michigan State to see how grades in preclinical curriculum predicted or didn't predict grades in clinical curricula, and also looked at how if grades in the clinical part of the curriculum and at Michigan State students received letter grades, how those were distributed by gender and racial or ethnic identity, simply because we know that those are often somewhat subjective. We're basing grades on fairly sometimes very soft evidence, of just your impressions over time of a lot of different experiences that aren't standard. And also looked at student award receipt, and so that work is something that's in draft and will hopefully going to be published soon. What we found there actually was that award receipt was actually very gendered in that particular sample, and I think it just kind of goes to interesting things that how to say this. I think interesting assumptions about what we value in our students and how we interact with them in the clinical year and how that affects what they do after. So that kind of work. One collaboration I'm really excited about, and I want to thank everybody if they participated in the survey, was the Veterinary Workforce Survey. And this is a collaboration with Dr. Samantha Morello at University of Wisconsin and Dr. Susie Fubini at Cornell University. And this was really our putting our heads together, thinking about what it is like to be a faculty member in a College of Veterinary Medicine, and thinking about the resources and headwinds that we all experience in our faculty lives. So that survey is just closed. We got 20 institutions. We got over 900 responses to that survey, and it's the kind of data set that you ask questions of like it's an oracle. So we're really excited to see what that data set holds and how it can help us improve faculty lives, how we support faculty, how we manage faculty, how we talk about faculty, and what we might want to look at in our individual institutions. So that's super exciting. Yeah.
It sounds like
Yeah.
great work.
Thanks.
All over
Yeah.
the place.
It is a lot of things.
All over the country.
Yeah. It's and I'm again excited to be here, and I'm really grateful for the energy around educational research here. I'm really grateful for the energy around research here in general. So please reach out, involve me. I'm happy to help with any projects that relate to things I'm interested in, and certainly happy to help support people if you're interested specifically in educational research projects, to brainstorm, to link you to resources on main campus and so on.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
great.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thanks for sharing.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me to talk. So,
Best
yeah.
of luck.
Thanks.